Namaste and welcome viewers. This is another episode of Mirror Prime. Today we're talking about Nirmala Sitharaman, the Union Finance Minister, whose very job is to ease the pressure of a country plagued by toxic work culture, low salaries and soaring taxes. Her comment has now angered the Aam Aadmi again. Now she's asked the victims, in fact, instead of talking to the victims about corporate exploitation, helping them understand what to do, she has now advised the victims to instead find inner strength and seek God. People are now asking that if we anyway have to approach God for these issues, then why do we even have a government? So let's get this straight. Anna Perail, a brilliant young woman who passed one of the toughest exams in the country, was crushed by the insane workload at her company. Her mother then highlighted the unsustainable work condition and how it killed her daughter. But instead of showing empathy, assuring corporate accountability, Sitharaman now says that spirituality is the solution. The Aam Aadmi today tells the finance minister that the very budget that you've drawn up, the never-ending taxes, the economic policies that have already driven professionals to the edge, they are burdened with loans, credit card debts, and also rising inflation. But instead of calling out the companies, pushing their employees to debt, how justified is it to turn around and preach the victims instead? This is the big question that the nation is asking right now. And amid all this, amid the controversy, Nirmala Sitharaman has finally reacted. She has defended her comment about finding inner strength. Sitharaman says that she has not shamed the victim. Nirmala Sitharaman has responded to Shiv Sena UBT Rajya Sabha MP Priyanka Chaturvedi. The allegations were that instead of pulling up the companies for their toxic work culture, Sitharaman was trying to preach the victims and shame the victims. Sitharaman now says that she did not intend any sort of victim shaming and she did not take any names as well. Joining us right now on the broadcast to detail what exactly the finance minister meant and also how do we exactly take this statement. Right now joining us is Dr. Dharinder Tayal, who's a spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Nikul Patel, political analyst, Dilip Cherian, founder of the Perfect Relations. In fact, Dr. Nikul Patel, I'll start with you right now. I just read out the statement of Nirmala Sitharaman. She's denied that there was any sort of victim shaming. How do you look at this statement?
See, if you see our Sanatan Dharma and our philosophy of Hinduism, it is said that Mata, Pita, Guru, Devam. Means the first person from whom someone learn is Mata, then Pita, and then Guru, and then Devam. But over here, what finance minister wants to portray is that you should approach the God and you should tell that everything is with the God. But this is not the way to address a problem being the finance minister of the country. I think they want people to become Atmanirbhar. So this is the way that they want to come out of this problem. See, this is not the way that government should deal with such kind of problem where a working culture and an environment is a big challenge in the entire nation. And this incident had brought to the notice that how the environment is, what stressful conditions are there for the employee, and especially in the private sector where people has to work more than 18 hours or 14 hours. Now, Pradhan Mantri can work 18 hours a day, but a common man who is also handling so many things has to go with so many things. So I think such statements are not good from a platform where you can speak such things. So government should look into it, take this matter seriously, and definitely it should go with some policies or some complaint box or some helpline number where such employees who are finding stressful conditions with their HR or their environment or their management should be addressed properly.
Absolutely. I'll take this point across to Dilip Cherian. Mr. Dilip Cherian, a lot of people right now are saying that the comments aren't just absurd, they lack empathy, they're downright cruel, and also dangerously out of touch with what the nation is demanding.
I am not one of those who normally sees very much merit in enthusing about comments made in this vein. However, I feel that there is no doubt that Nirmala Sitharaman is addressing an audience of companies who are today under stress for a variety of reasons. There is no doubt, as you said, that individuals and citizens are under stress on account of a variety of pressures on them. But please understand that today there is a much more robust system of complaints, of ways of seeking solace and support than used to exist even 10 years ago. So to say that this is entirely the fault of a corporate culture, to my mind, is definitely an overstatement. And while we must empathize with the girl, the loss of life, the snuffing off of someone extremely talented, there is reason for Nirmala Sitharaman to assure corporates that this is not going to result in a kind of witch hunt among companies, because that will make situation in the economy far worse than it is today. Imagine a situation where you already have a huge level of unemployment. If companies are, in a sense, encouraged to not look to hiring young people where this problem understandably is prevalent, there is a fine line that needs to be drawn, and it needs to be seen what the duty of the finance minister is.
Okay. Mr. Nikul Patel, help me understand what exactly the finance minister here is trying to say, because she says that people need to find time to seek God. They need to find time to find their inner strength as well. Now, given the reports that indicate that many Indian professionals today are forced to work 12 to 14 hours daily without any overtime pay as well, how does the finance minister expect people to find enough time to go seek God, find inner strength? I mean, there's no time to have lunch as well. When do we do all this?
See, a finance minister must understand that what is present scenario of the country, public sector as well as private sector. Even if you see banks, bankings and public sectors are also facing a stressful environment working, because they has to work more than their regular shift hours. Now, when it comes to the statement of finance ministers, he say that, okay, now we should approach God, or we should go to the mandir, or we should find out some time. Definitely, you are correct that the stressful life and the working culture and the load that employees are bearing, they didn't even have to time to have a cup of coffee, or to take a nap, because the competition is so much. So even though we have scheduled time duration for shifts, working culture of 8 hours, but that is not being practiced because of the pressure that employees are facing. But I think instead of giving solution, if the finance minister and the representative of the present central government ask people to approach the God for this kind of thing, is really amazing, or we can say that frustrating for the people. I think she must definitely understand what she is speaking. But over here, I would say that as Pradhan Mantri is telling that you go and become Atmanirbhar, I think instead of improving the working culture, government wants that now people should become Atmanirbhar and rely on God, rather than improving the working culture and environment for the employee in the country.
Absolutely. Dr. Dharinder Tayal from the BJP is also joining us right now. Dr. Tayal, please help us understand what exactly the finance minister here is trying to say, because instead of providing structural solutions, helping us understand what the companies should do to ensure that employees have a better work-life balance, the finance minister is here asking individuals to go seek spirituality, seek God, find inner strength. Is this what we expect from the finance minister?
Thank you, Ashish. First of all, we are all deeply grieved by this unfortunate death of a very bright career. And that goes right across. And then one hope that nobody would be trying to make political capital out of this. But that is what is happening today. Let's understand, it is one of the first people who commented on this was Rajiv Chandrasekhar, who said this is wrong on so many parts and thorough investigation is required. The Labour Ministry has already stepped in. Mansukh Mandviya, Shobhaji, they've all stepped in and taken ENY to task, at the same time to look at structurally what needs to be done, and at the same time what is wrong at ENY. But we've lost a precious life. And it is not a matter of either or. Now, look at her. I would look at her. I mean, I am father to similarly aged professional girls. I understand what the pressures of the corporate life are. Every day I face them. From her, where the internal politics, all of us are aware. There is politics in the corporate and there is so much pressure. There is that achievement orientation. And I can say that Anna didn't die because she was weak. She died because she was strong. Her parents said, why don't you quit? She says, no, I'm gaining experience. I'm learning. I'm going to grow. That was her strength. And we shouldn't be losing that. But It is the entire ecosystem that needs to be looked at. We cannot just put it on to what is the government doing, what is the government not doing. What will you tell your daughter? Am I not telling my daughter be strong? She is telling कि अपनी आत्मशक्ति बढ़ाएं. She's telling the educational institutions that we need to make our kids strong. Now let us take the case of Anna. She qualified CA. The pass percentage of CA is 14.96%. For women, it is just 14.14%. That's low. So which means some 86, 85, 86 kids are not making it. They have to be prepared for that failure. They have to be able to take that stress and know how to take it. So that entire ecosystem, whether it is the parents, the educational
Dr. Dharinder Tayal, this is exactly the question. The question here is that is the finance minister trying to teach a girl who's cleared CA how to handle pressure? For God's sake, she's cleared one of the toughest exams in the country. She doesn't need a lecture or crash course in dealing with pressure. She already knows it. Here, the parents of the girl, the parents who lost her daughter today, they don't need lectures about going and seeking God, finding inner strength. All they want is justice, and that no other girl in this nation, no other child in this nation should suffer the same fate that their daughter did. So they want a response that brings about change, that brings about a positive change from the finance minister. That's exactly what they were expecting. But instead, they're finding statements like go, seek God, find spirituality. That's exactly the concern.
I think we are misinterpreting the whole thing. Let's understand. She was not talking to the parents. She was talking at an educational institution. She was talking to the educationalists. She was talking to the kids who were there. As far as the parents are concerned, everything, I won't say everything right has been said, but everything right action has been taken. The ministry has responded within 10 days. They are getting the reports and action is going to be there. So the government is extremely, extremely with these kids. There is nothing two ways about it. But that does not mean when we have to understand what was the audience. In the audience, she is saying that, look, we have to prepare ourselves. We also have to be strong within. As a parent, would you not say that to your child, that be strong, my child? I was watching a movie, Chichore, where they say, we are preparing our kids for success. We are not preparing them for failure. Not that Anna was a failure. Anna was a huge success. For every CA in this country, possibly Ernst & Young would have been a dream job maybe before today or before this whole thing broke out. It would have been a dream job. But what is this? As a society also, we have to take responsibility. What is the question? Are we ever asking our kids, are you liking your job? No, we are asking, what is your package? Is it better than the next guy's? So the society, this government, the families, the educational institutions, the entire ecosystem has to come together to protect the future of this country. And that is what Nirmala ji was saying. Maybe she said...
Dr. Dharinder Tayal, I think you're contradicting yourself here. On one hand, you say that the finance minister was not speaking to the parents. On the other hand, you say that this is how a parent speaks to their child. So I'm not really sure what you're trying to say here. But meanwhile, I'll want Dr. Nikul Patel to respond to this. Dr. Nikul Patel, do you agree with what Dr. Tayal is saying? Is this what the finance minister was trying to say?
See, I think the BJP person is confused with the thought process what finance minister was speaking. I think she clearly states that if a person is at some level and along with the educational system, the parents must try to educate them regarding the stress they might have to take in future. I think quoting to the example, she had not spoken the name of that girl, but definitely it's a correlation that everyone understand and today we are discussing. And a statement that you should believe in God or you should go to the spirituality, that is something which is spoken. Then definitely instead of talking like this, I think finance minister must have come with some solution or some discussion on the point where the working culture and the corporate culture must be taken into consideration in her speeches, but ultimately relying on God as what we see in the political speeches from Bharatiya Janata Party, that everywhere they want to talk of religion. This time also they want to depend on the God. So I think this is not the correct way of putting the things onto the platform where she might be addressing some students. So I personally feel that the BJP guy is not clear about what finance minister had said, but the outcome, if we see, they are the only statement saying that you become Atmanirbhar. Don't rely on anything on the environment which is right now. If you want to come out of your stressful life, believe in God, go and have a faith. Definitely, God is our dharma. We believe in God, but ultimately, the environment and the working culture has to be designed or has to be addressed by the government, because we have a loss of life, and the parents who have lost
I'd
their
want
kid,
I'd
they
want
never want
Dilip
that their
Cherian to
kids to
respond
be
to this.
lost.
Mr. Dilip Cherian, a lot of people say that India's labor laws, which were established in 1948, are out of sync with the current reality. Even with these kind of statements, looks like even the politicians are out of sync.
Politicians are an easy and soft target. The real problem is in the economy. The real problem is for companies to survive in a grueling world where competition, a word which has been tossed around a lot, is actually increasing. Now, you can take a view that the finance minister should have talked about how these issues can be eased. But I think, keeping in mind the audience she was addressing and the fact that she was trying to talk in a bit of a riddle without getting to specifics, led her down the path of spirituality, where I don't think the answer was complete or appropriate. I think that there is no doubt that competition is increasing, but also there is no doubt that today's generation feels that it is under more pressure than previous generations were. I think that is where the confusion arises. We may want to, Ashish, think that this is the generation which is facing the most pressure. But no, our parents' generation, our own generation has worked for much longer hours than is acknowledged today publicly. So it is something that we should take care of. Sure. Is it the finance minister's job? I'm not so sure. Should she have talked about spirituality? Definitely not. But as I said, we need to understand that the Indian economy and the Indian corporate structure is going through more competition than it has faced ever before.
Right. Mr. Cherian, also, I totally agree with the point of view that you're of here right now about the Indian economy, and also how companies are struggling to maintain profits, and also that again is a pressure that translates to the employees as well. But here the big question here is, why again at the end of the day are young professionals at the receiving end? Here the government goes through something bad, the taxes are hiked, it's again the professionals that are facing issues. The companies go through something bad, again the professionals are under pressure. So when exactly will accountability fixed? When will the leaders, both the government leaders and also the private leaders, actually take responsibility? How long will the young workforce of this nation continue to bear the burden of the inefficiency of India's leaders?
The idea that there is inefficiency among the leadership is not new, and largely it is echoed by the system that is surrounding us. This surround system also tells us that as we go forward, we have to make sure that we balance between a nation that is happy and a nation that is aiming for 5 trillion. What is it that we really want for our citizens? Do we want a more balanced life? In which case, we need to make sure that taxes are lower, the entire economic situation is made less harassing, and the ease of actually not just doing business, of actually performing your everyday task is made easier in many ways. That is what government ought to promise the citizen. And I think that is essentially what we are all looking for, I think, Ashish.
Absolutely. I think before we wrap this, I'll ask Dr. Dharinder Tayal. I think Dr. Tayal had to make a point there. Go ahead.
Ashish, you cannot just accuse me of contradicting myself and then run away. You have to give me that chance. And let's understand, there is no contradiction.
No, I'm here. Dr. Tayal, I'm not running away. I'm right here.
So immediately you switch. When you accuse me, at least give me the opportunity. So there is no contradiction anywhere. Like I said, it is the entire ecosystem. I heard with great pride when you said that, there is no time. There's no time for coffee. Even we're all working 12 hours. The society needs to stop taking pride in that, how hard my son works. He works 12 hours. He works 14 hours. He works 18 hours a day. He doesn't have time for coffee. The society also, we have to do that. The government has stepped in. What the government had to do, I'm repeating myself, what the government had to do, the Labour Ministry come right forth and said we are going to haul them over coal. That has been done. Now, at the same time, I have to be strong to tell my child, be strong. There is nothing wrong with that. To tell your child, be strong, so that the society, life is going to throw end pressures at you. You have to be capable of taking those pressures yourself also. So we have to be strong. Whether you do it through divinity, you do it through whatever means you want. I do not know what the political analysts were saying. BJP talks religion. BJP has not talked any specific religion here. If
Dr.
you don't,
Tayal,
he says, yeah,
I don't
we
have
dharma.
I don't
So
have
let
much
it be
time on the
dharma,
broadcast, but
whatever
I quickly
pleases you.
want you to respond to this. You just said that the government has stepped in, the government has done everything, the law ministry, the labor ministry has done everything. If they had done their job, had Anna died, she would have been with us today.
On this, it has been done. Whatever the first response is that we have, I mean, all reports have been sought. So we cannot go
So this is after she
retrospective.
died. The action should have been taken before.
Yeah, so
We
cannot
should be
go-
preventing lives, not taking action after
so that
employees
is-
die.
But even today, Ashish, even today, there is resistance from the rest of the panel on that the society is also somewhere responsible. We don't want to own that responsibility. We don't want to take that responsibility. Your own pride in saying, I work 12 hours, don't have time for coffee. You know, so that pride has to go. Work-life balance cannot be just a statement. We have to adhere to it. We have to tell our kids, yes, you have to take it.
All right. Right. Right, Dr. Tayal, I think it's a collective effort that we need to come together as well. And of course, like you said, there's a completely different context as far as what the finance minister had to say as well. But again, at the end of the day, the answer remains the same. The fact that people expect a lot more from the government than preaching. And this is exactly why there's such a massive social media storm there as well. Dr. Dharinder Tayal, Dr. Nikul Patel and Dilip Cherian, appreciate joining us on the broadcast for this very special discussion. Of course, we will be joining back to discuss this in the future as well. All right, viewers, on that note, it's a wrap on Mirror Prime. Lots more lined up on the other side. Stay tuned.